Quality time.
The records.
Oh, you all mine.
Hi, I'm Steven Zawilla. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of the Quietly Romantic newsletter. I help introverted men learn how to talk to women, where to meet women, and how to be more confident. I've been featured on Yahoo, Huffington Post, the Good Men Project, and Introvert Gear. And tonight, I'm here with Brian Pippard for the first episode of his new series, Quality Time with Brian. This is a new series that Brian is doing where he discusses dating advice with other experts on the internet. And I'm honored to be your first guest, Brian.
Hey, thank you, Steve. I'm honored to have you host for me. This will be fun.
All right. So to start off, I'm going to ask you a few questions about dating advice, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Sounds great.
So, in your experience, what do you see men struggling with the most when it comes to dating?
Yeah, most guys try too hard to make an interaction work out with women, as opposed to creating fun, genuine, and emotion-inspiring interactions with them. If they feel good when they're with you, then they'll want to be with you more.
Yes, I definitely agree. I don't know if you've heard of Mark Manson or if you've read Models, but one thing he emphasizes in Models is that a lot of men, they want to learn the perfect tactic or the perfect line or whatever, but actually what matters most is the authenticity, what's underneath those tactics or lines or whatever you say to her. If what's underneath all of that is completely authentic, then you're going to have a higher chance to succeed. And that's really what matters more than what you say to her or what tactics you want to use, whatever. So
Yeah,
your side.
I totally agree with that. And actually, on another point, say that it did work out using some sort of tactics that weren't really who you were. Then you have to maintain that relationship based upon those fake tactics, that fake facade. And that either can't go well or can't be that enjoyable. So it's not just more effective, but just better and more enjoyable overall.
Right. You know, sometimes I see men, they want to lie in their dating profile, or they want to lie to a woman the first time they meet her or talk to her or go on a date with her or whatever. But, you know, worst case scenario, she doesn't believe your lies and she doesn't date you. And that's one possible outcome. But another outcome is she actually believed your lies, but then you're actually stuck because you have to live those lies continuously. And if she learns that you've been lying to her in order to get her to go out with you or to get her to like you or whatever, she's not going to be very impressed with that. She's not going to be very pleased.
Absolutely. And on top of that, that's just not cool. And guys don't need to lie to be able to get women. If they just believe in themselves, project themselves authentically, and communicate well and interestingly, then women will want to be around them, and they'll have chances with that just from that. There's no need to lie. So just don't do it. It's just better and more effective not to.
All right. So your site's called Date Quality Women, and you kind of emphasize dating quality women in your philosophy. So what does it mean to date a quality woman? What is a quality woman?
Well, I've actually asked hundreds of guys this, and each have had their own answer. But to me, what it means is a woman that I could have a potential long-term relationship with. So when I meet her and I see her and I start creating a relationship with her, I'm not thinking like, maybe this is just for fun. You know, maybe I'll just have a good time with her. You know, I think like this may potentially be a woman that could turn into something. And I mean, that's based upon character and attractiveness, a bunch of other things. But, you know, a lot of guys, we kind of have a feeling the first little bit when we're getting to know a woman, whether or not it has potential for that or not.
All right. And do other guys feel the same way in your experience? What if other guys said it means to date a quality woman?
Yeah, like each guy has had his own opinion on what that means, but there's definitely been commonalities. And the commonalities it's come down to is that it's sort of about attractiveness, that the woman is attractive enough for them to be interested. But what they really like is that it comes down to her personality and her values, which makes a lot of sense because, of course, guys like attractive women, but guys love attractive women who have the right personality and values for them. So a lot of the personality and values that they've said that they like and the commonalities have been, we help make each other better people. We're able to have meaningful conversations, and we don't have to pretend around each other. So when guys find attractive women who have those sorts of values and personality traits as well, that's when they really start to consider, like, this might be a woman I could really be interested in for the long term.
All right. So why is it important to date a quality woman specifically? Like, why not date any woman? Why date a quality woman? Why is that important?
All right, well, there's a few reasons, and I'm going to get to it. First, I'm going to take a bit of a tangent. So from my experience, like I said, when you first meet a woman, generally guys sort of classify her into 3 different categories we have in our heads. The first is, I'm not really physically interested, so maybe we can be friends. And this kind of woman, guys don't have a lot of pressure with, they don't have a lot of stress, they're generally fairly successful with, because there's no intention there. There's no worry about being rejected because they're not really interested. The second is, I'm interested in her casually, but probably not for something serious. And a lot of guys do fairly well with women like this because there's a little bit of pressure and interest, but not so much that it's crippling and it's difficult for them to deal with. The thing is that a lot of guys in this situation, what they do is they get in the casual relationship and then they carry the casual relationship out too long because it's easy to keep getting laid, or they don't want to have to go out and face rejection to find someone new. They don't want to step up who they are, or per se, to go find new women that may actually be the type of women they'd really like. So they kind of end up falling into this long-term sort of relationship with a casual woman. And this isn't great because, one, the woman usually ends up catching feelings. Like, any woman who's seeing you on the regular for any amount of time is like 99% interested in something more than what you're giving her casually. Otherwise, she wouldn't just keep seeing you. She'd see you one time and find a different guy, and it would just be fun. So the emotions almost always come in when they're seeing you regularly like that. So most women that I've found who enter in these long-term casual relationships, they do it because they hope to have the chance of swaying the guy's opinion about her, that she is sort of long-term relationship material. And that almost never works because, I mean, the guys usually make up their mind from the get. There's usually some sort of reason that they feel that woman is not just the right sort of type of woman they'd want to be with long-term. So at this point, the guy's got to make a choice. They got to keep seeing her at arm's length, knowing that she wants more than they actually want to provide. He needs to stop seeing her to kind of save her from herself and cut her off from her own feelings that she wants with him, which is difficult as well. Or he's got to give her the relationship that he knows she wants, that he doesn't really want. So all of those are bad situations. And because of that, guys can waste years and tons of effort and time dating women that they just wanted to have a good time with, but it just ended up in the end not really being worth the time and effort put into it, kind of being a time suck. So none of those are good. And then there's the third type of woman who, when the guy meets her, he kind of has an idea like, this may be the kind of woman I'm interested in a long-term relationship with. And a lot of times guys fail horribly with these kinds of women because they put too much pressure on themselves to make it work out. They go, oh, this is the one I want. I want one like this. I want to make it work. And anytime a guy puts that much pressure on himself to make it work out with a woman, it often doesn't. It ends up coming off as needy and desperate. It's not good. Also, a lot of guys, like, they want relationships with these kind of women, but they just don't feel worthy of it. So their communication is like, oh, yeah, that would be really nice. I'd like if you liked me. That would be really sweet. But it doesn't create the sort of man-to-woman relationship that she's looking to, especially because there's probably a bunch of dudes who are interested in her in the same way, some of which who will man up and make her feel how she wants to feel to be with a man. Another reason guys fail with the women that they're really, really interested in is they just don't know how to create the kind of relationship with her. And they try to do it in a way that works with the casual women, but doesn't work with them. The analogy I like to use is that the bait you use to catch a fish doesn't catch a marlin. So you got to up your bait. You got to up what you're using to be able to have opportunities with these women. And the same tactics often won't work. So the guys just try these things that don't work out, and then it doesn't work, and they go, oh, whatever, you know, that girl's XYZ, she's a bitch, stuck up, thinks she's better, it didn't work out, and they make excuses. But the truth is that if they knew how to communicate with her better, they probably would have been able to create a relationship with her. So in my opinion, those third type of women are the most important women to focus on, because if it does work out, if you do end up creating some kind of relationship with her, even if it just ends up being casual, it's not a long-term thing, because I mean, you got to walk before you run. At least there's an opportunity that something will turn out and they can have something nice from it. They know they're not just wasting both their time. Whereas even with the casual girl, you tell her like, this is just for fun and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times they don't want it to be just for fun. So it ends up not just being fun. And, you know, maybe the casual girl can change positions. Like the women can change positions, the type of woman they are. You know, say they get their appearance, you know, drastically together in some way, or their personality is just awesome. And you're like, yeah, I could totally go for a woman like a personality like that. Guys will generally prefer a woman who has the personality and values they want, but is not as attractive, to a woman who's more attractive but doesn't. So women definitely can change categories, but after guys have made that initial choice, I find they rarely do. So it's that third type that I consider a quality woman that could potentially end up being most guys' dream women. And those kinds of women, they're not potentially wasting their time, the woman's time, the effort and energy it goes into creating that relationship, and the hard situations that come from that, just having to end up not well in some way, either being cut off or a long-term relationship or something where the woman isn't really happy with. So to me, those are quality women. And it's important to save that time, energy, and effort for both of you, because I mean, at the end of the day, we only have so much time and energy. And I don't know about you, but as I get older, I realize it's much more important to focus on the women where something might actually turn out, where I might really be interested, as opposed to just a for fun thing. And that can be okay. But when you tend towards the aim towards the upper end, then more of those will come along too. Because you just, you know, you're catching marlins. You can catch marlins, you can probably catch fish. You can catch fish, it doesn't mean you can catch marlins, you know? So that's the first reason why. And the second thing is that most guys eventually, though they don't want to rush it for the sake of it, they do want to settle down. And that's the hard part, is the settling, because settle has a hidden implication of for less than we want. So I've seen a lot of stories of guys who end up divorced and say they got walked on in marriage, their wives weren't fair, their wives were bitches, et cetera, et cetera. And that may not be the whole truth. It may be that they kind of let themselves get walked on because they didn't stand up tall with their own values, and they didn't communicate clearly and directly with her with their own boundaries, or they chose their wives poorly based upon looks or a scarcity mindset, or what time society told them they're supposed to get married. So this ends up costing them years of their lives. And I've seen they often come out of it like shells of men. They have so much personal work to do to pick themselves back up. And it's really just a shame to see. So that choice is so important, and avoiding coming out like that with years of your life as an older man is so important. I've heard that a good husband makes a good wife, but also you can't change someone unless they're in diapers. So in order to have a really solid relationship, we need to, one, have our shit together, and two, choose her very, very wisely. So choosing her is half the battle. And being a man that can choose and be with a quality woman is the other half. So they go hand in hand. And in that, I think makes a happy relationship. That's why it's important to get to the point finally.
All right. So how do you know if the woman you're with is a quality woman?
You mean like if you're in a relationship?
Yeah.
All right, well, finally give you a short answer. I've talked to a lot of guys about this, my own experience, and we've kind of agreed upon that when she communicates clearly and honestly with you, and there's not a lot of bullshit, you can tell she's a quality woman. When she's accountable for her part in problems, and she looks to be a problem solver rather than a problem creator, then she's a quality woman. And when you're in a relationship with her and she's secure enough to give you the time and space to live your life and do what you want to do and not get overly jealous of it or the other women in it because she trusts you and she's secure in your interest in her and herself as a woman, then she's a quality woman.
All right. Those are all good signs, I think, and they're all signs of a very mature person, someone who has a good head on their shoulders. But what about if you're just meeting her for the first time? How do you tell if she's a quality woman?
Well, it's pretty hard to tell someone's character, you know, the very first time you meet them. But there are a few signs. Like, one thing for quality men is that the women have the same values as them. So they want to look for women who have the same values as themselves. So for example, if you value staying fit, see a woman who also stays fit and say, okay, we probably have the same values, we can match. That'd be a quality woman for me. You like making jokes, you say something to her that's funny, she has a witty comeback, say, oh, okay, great. I like women with a sense of humor. That's a quality woman for me. Maybe you like being intellectual, you like reading books and learning new things, and you're at a cafe, you see a woman sitting there reading a book. Like, oh, that could be a quality woman for me. Or maybe she's just sitting around waiting for a cute guy to talk to her. And she's waiting for you. It could be, but either way, if she sets herself up to be met, then in my opinion, that's the sort of person who creates opportunity for what she wants to happen and is a quality person. The second sign that she might be quality is that she makes you work a bit to get her. She doesn't make it too easy. So, I mean, guys love the idea of like, oh, women throw themselves at me and all these girls that come to me and blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is that really isn't that cool because it doesn't create that much of a connection. I've kind of been there and it's all right kind of for the time being, but those are not the kind of women you really want to have like a long-term relationship with. A lot of the women who are very easy to get are not going to be the best long-term. Nothing in life that's the easiest is usually the best. So a quality woman knows that a man will put in a reasonable amount of work to get with her because she's worth it and because she's awesome, she has value. So she'll make him work a little bit. And so that's a sign that she has some standards. She's not going to go for anything. And so she's a little bit of a quality woman. And especially if she gives you hints and opportunities, but she still leaves the ball hitting up to you. She doesn't do the work for you. Then you know she's the kind of woman who sets things up to get what she wants, but also leaves it on the man to help create the relationship and connection so it's better for both of them. So she makes it work a bit together. That's another thing for a quality woman. And along that vein, the third thing is that she probably doesn't sleep with you the first night of their first date. So from my experience, most of the guys I've talked to, they said that the best women they were with were the ones who didn't sleep with them the first night of the first date. I think quality women know that they're worth being with, so they don't mind. They even enjoy making the guy work a bit to be with them so that they can build the connection and the sexual tension. So that when it does happen, they actually both get to enjoy it a lot more. It's a lot more enjoyable when it's there than if it's just really quick and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It doesn't have the same nice feeling and intimacy that guys and women mostly like.
All right. So some men I've talked to, guys who've never had a girlfriend before, they say that they ought to lower their standards in order to find love. That's what they think. And it seems like you teach the opposite of that. You teach dating quality women specifically instead of just anybody you can get or anybody you can date by lowering your standards. So what would you say to someone who is considering lowering their standards?
Yeah, I can see why. In the case of guys who don't have a lot of sexual experience, maybe they've never had a girlfriend before, they would say this is a good way to get it so you can feel more comfortable with women going forward. But I can't really advise it because I like to think of relationships as a balancing of gold on a two-sided scale. On one side is what you place, that's what you bring to a relationship. And on the other side is what she brings. And if you can get this scale to balance exactly, you get to keep what's on both sides. So if you bring a gold nugget and she brings a whole bar, there's two ways to balance the scale. You can lower your standards and chip away at her side of the gold bar until it becomes a nugget. It's equally sized. Then you get two gold nuggets, which isn't bags, it's double what you started with. Or you can go out and you can mine some gold yourself. You can hire someone to do it. You can get a job and buy some. You can rob a bank and steal it. That might be the quickest way, but I don't recommend it. To get more gold, and you can add that to your side until it balances out. In that case, you put in a lot more work, but you end up with exponentially more than just the 2 gold nuggets that you started with. And because you went through all this work and did all this personal growth, you probably have some really cool stories, learned a lot, and became a better partner along the way as well. So your relationship will be better, more so than just the addition of 2 gold bars. So no, I don't really recommend settling. But what I do recommend, especially for guys who are new at learning how to interact with women or haven't had that much success, is being realistic about what results you expect to get in anything you're starting that you're new at. So don't settle for that position you're at right now, but also, you know, you got to learn to walk for your run. Don't think you can win the Super Bowl when you started playing football. You got to be a bit realistic too.
All right. So something you emphasize on your website is that you attract what you are. If you're dysfunctional, then you'll attract someone else who fits that same mold. So what would you say to someone who's a little dysfunctional, but also wants to get their stuff together, so to speak?
Yeah, so sometimes like a certain type of crazy will attract a similar type of crazy, and that dysfunction will match each other, and it won't work so well in the long term. It'll work for a short while, and then they'll butt heads, and it won't work out. So actually, looking back on my life, there's been a lot of times I can see where the women I was with were a direct reflection of who I was at that moment. So I think that in order to sort this out for themselves, guys first need to get crystal clear about what kind of woman and relationship they really, really want to have, down to the kind of job they want her to have, kind of hobbies, how they want her to communicate. This way, guys can know what they're aiming for, and also when they get it, if that's actually what they really want. They end up getting that and find out, oh, that isn't what I really wanted. And then they can set a new sort of goal with a new sort of idea and find if that really is. But first, you got to know what you're aiming for, what you want. Secondly, we got to be brutally honest with ourselves about how we are or aren't matching the qualities we want in our dream woman. Like if we want a woman who's fit, but we're a fat slob, how is she going to want to be with us when her values of staying fit, eating healthy, taking care of her body are very different from our values of taking it easy, enjoying ourselves, eating what we want? It's just not going to match, generally. Same goes if we want her to be a good conversationalist. Like, I want a woman I can talk to. Well, are you a person who can create conversations? You create connections. Are you interested to talk to yourself? Because if you're not, you want her to be a good conversationalist, it's just not going to work. The values are not going to add up. So we need to be brutally honest with ourselves about how we are and aren't matching her in what we want. So once we do match her and the values add up, then we can start to create a relationship that's equal. Last thing we need to do is last thing we need to do is start making a plan about how to take action to become the type of person that we would want to be with. So you say, I want a girl who's fit, who's a good conversationalist, who has interesting hobbies. Like, okay, if you want those things, then what's our plan to get fit, to be a good conversationalist, to have interesting hobbies? So we can match her values. But that's not the end of the story, because we still have to learn how to interact and create the relationship with her that is stimulating and interesting to her. So we need to learn to communicate, lead the relationship, treat her as a woman, come from being a man, that stimulates good emotions in her. So the point where she can say, oh, look, he has the values I want, we have a very similar lifestyle, we both have the same goals, and he makes me feel like a woman. He communicates with me in a way that I want to be around him. I feel compelled to be around him and share those good emotions with him. And when a man does that, he's got a lot of options with women. He's got his shit together, and he's able to create good relationships. And now he has opportunities with amazing women that he never had opportunities with before. And that's where he's likely to find his dream woman and create some really awesome relationships.
I agree. I hope you don't mind if I get a little personal, but I was actually a late bloomer when it came to dating. I didn't really start dating until I was in my 20s, and I was kind of self-conscious about the fact that I was a late bloomer. When I was going through high school, I saw like some of the cool guys, or even some of my friends seemed to be dating a lot of the women there, and I didn't go on a single date in high school. And then I got to college, and you hear that college is like the place to hook up. It's a place to get a lot of sex with a lot of different people. But I didn't, even then, I didn't get any dates for my first few years of college. So I was a late bloomer, and I was kind of self-conscious about that. So near the end of college, when I finally started knowing how to date women, when I first started dating women, they were kind of not all there upstairs. They were kind of crazy. They didn't really take my feelings into consideration when I was dating them. But I thought that I had to date those women because I'd gone 20 years without a single date, and I thought that if I didn't date her, or if I didn't do everything I could to keep this woman I was dating, then if she left me, I'd go another 20 plus years without getting a single date. And looking back, it's kind of a reflection of how I was at that time. My self-esteem was kind of low, so that was kind of reflected in the women I was dating. They weren't quality women. They were crazy, or they were just inconsiderate or self-absorbed or what have you. But because of my low self-esteem, because I didn't think I was worth that much, it was reflected in the women I was dating.
Exactly. So once you started to become more the kind of man that you were proud of, that you were happy with, come into your own and get more confidence and self-esteem, I'm going to guess that the quality of women that you started dating got better and they treated you better.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't have to date women who made me unhappy. You know, I was worth it, and if I wanted to, I could wait until a quality woman or someone that made me happy came along.
Absolutely. And that's much more important than just getting laid or getting laid quickly. I mean, when you don't have a lot of options, I can see how you would take, the path of least resistance, take what's easy and available. But the fact of the matter is, it's rarely the best, and it's never the best. And if guys put in the work to be the kind of person and partner they would want to be with and learn how to communicate with women appropriately, they have all kinds of chances with amazing women, because one, they'll be awesome people who they themselves like and have high confidence. The other women will recognize that, and they'll be able to create good relationships, emotion-inspiring relationships the women want to be in and be around, and tons of new options that are awesome open up, and new avenues for all different types of relationships, including women you never had opportunities with before, potentially long-term ones, which could be amazing. So I appreciate you sharing, and I think your situation is very, very common for a lot of guys, especially a lot of young guys. And just to get guys there quicker so that they can have better relationships and be happier earlier in their life and enjoy more of it and not go through the sort of struggle that I imagine you went through. Like, in order to become more confident, more comfortable in yourself and date more quality women, was it a lot of work? Did you have to do a lot of work on yourself to get to that point?
Well, kind of. Well, one thing I realized was I actually had more options than I thought. I mean, I didn't date for 20 years, so I thought, well, I'm just the kind of person who has no options. I'm the person who doesn't date for 20 years precisely because I have no options. But one thing I learned is sometimes you have more options than you think you do. And even if that's not true, there are ways to be the kind of man who has those options. So there's no reason to be stuck where you are.
Absolutely. And another thing is just recognizing the opportunity of options around you. I mean, there's opportunities to create relationships with women all the time, and guys don't take advantage of it. I was at one job, and there were some guys there. I said, Brian, we always see you with women. Where do you meet all these women? And I said, anywhere there's women. When they're there, chat to them, talk them up. It could become anything. Who knows? It might be the exact woman you're looking for. It might just be a good time. It might be a friend. It might be someone who knows some cool people, some cool events, whatever. If we're creating relationships, we have opportunities for all sorts of things in our life we didn't have before. So one thing is recognize the opportunities. Second thing is feeling good enough to take advantage of them. Third thing is being able to.
Right. And I want to go back to that question you asked me. Was it work? Was it a lot of work to become the kind of man who can date quality women or who has those options? I'm going to say yes, to be honest, it was work. But at the same time, it wasn't work because at some point I learned to do this kind of work, do this kind of self-improvement for my own sake instead of for the sake of meeting other women. And when you're doing this kind of self-improvement for the sake of other women, I mean, you'll try working out or eating better or whatever, and then you'll talk to women, and inevitably you might strike out with a few women, and everyone does. That's just part of the game. But if you're doing self-improvement for the sake of meeting other women, and then you strike out a few times, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be like, oh, self-improvement doesn't work, and then you'll just want to give up on it. But then when I started working on myself for the sake of working on myself, for the sake of making myself a better person, when I just started working out for the sake of being able to lift heavier things, or being able to have more energy in the morning, or being able to make my clothes fit better, then I just naturally became the type of person who had more options, who was able to date quality women. So to answer your question, was it work? It was work, but at the same time, it wasn't work because I was doing it for myself. And that actually made it a lot more fun than when I was just doing these things for the sake of meeting women.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I teach, I'm a big proponent of, is having a purpose bigger than meeting women or yourself, having some sort of goal or dream or purpose you're working on. That's not just so that you can be attractive to women and be mysterious and nonchalant. It's actually mostly for the point that when you're happier and you do things for yourself, you're able to give more of yourself to women. And they see that and they go, oh, this is a person who's working on things, who does it for themselves, cares about what they want in life. They go, oh, I'd like to be around someone who's like that, because everyone wants to be around someone who's like that. Go, I'd like to be someone who's like that. If I'm around that person, I'm probably going to become more like that too. So absolutely, you're right. Doing it for you and not for them is hugely important. It's kind of like what sort of activities do you love, Steve?
I love writing. I love reading, fiction and nonfiction. Recently, I just read *Sapiens*. It has a lot of cool ideas. *Sapiens* by what's that guy's name? Yuval Harari had a lot of good ideas, and I wasn't reading that just to attract women. I was reading that because I liked having those ideas. I liked exposing my mind to different points of view. And it turns out that when you're doing that for yourself, it actually gives you more options. It makes you a better person because when you're reading these books, when you read it for your own sake, then maybe someday you run into a woman, she's interesting, she's a quality woman, and you're like, hey, I was reading this book, it had a lot of great ideas, and then you can discuss those ideas with her. And then she sees that you're an interesting person. You're not just someone who has no life, who is content to spend their life doing nothing.
Absolutely, absolutely. One, that's on my reading list, so good mention of that. Secondly, yeah, it makes you an interesting person rather than you pretending to be an interesting person to try to get her. And of course, authentically really being something is going to be much more effective than pretending to be it for the sake of getting a result. So one, you get the enjoyment of learning those things and becoming that person. And two, you get the benefits of other people recognizing you as that kind of person. So it's twofold. So really, learning to be able to date amazing women is half about the women, but it's half about just creating the life you really want. Having the relationships, the communication skills, the opportunities in your life that one really wants to have so you can create their life as they want it to be. It isn't so much about the women. It's more about ourselves and being the kind of men we want to be. However, having the women as a result of that is all right. That's a pretty nice byproduct thereof.
Totally. I totally agree.
Cool. Right on.
All right. So one thing a lot of men struggle with is how to talk to women. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you have certain lines or techniques that you use?
Yeah, of course. Everyone struggles with talking to women in some sort of way. Even when I first started, I made the big mistake of trying to be like really cocky and funny and just putting women off and being offensive. My friends being like, what are you saying? It's our job as men to create the interactions we want, make sure they're fun and genuine and interesting so the women do want to be around us and have those interactions with us more. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing to creating cool interactions with women is starting them. One, we need to start the conversation and take this burden on ourselves. Because if we leave it up to women, they may not do it. Women are not as assertive as us generally. And it's our burden as men, regardless of how difficult it is, to make what we want to happen. Quality people make what they want to happen in life. So if you want to be a quality man who gets quality women to attract what you are, then you got to take the burden on yourself to make that happen. So there's countless ways to start a convo. But my favorite is to give a compliment. Because one, it makes her feel good. And two, it shows I have an intention in her that isn't just usually purely platonic. It's not like, oh, hey, do you like coffee? Yeah, coffee's nice. Cool, I'll see you. If you tell a woman that she's particularly fit or particularly well-dressed or has nice hair, you're kind of saying, I noticed something physical about you, which is saying, I noticed you as a man and probably in some sort of even slightly sexual romantic way. So therefore, this is not a platonic sort of interaction, which is good because you don't want to create platonic relationships with women you're romantically interested in unless it turns out, personality-wise or they have a boyfriend, a husband or something, then you just don't want to. It's not interesting anymore. But until that point, you want to show and create a romantic sort of sexual type potential relationship with her. So that's why I like giving a compliment. So I'll say something like, hey, I just wanted to tell you, you have a really cool, awesome style. Like I make it really personal and unique. So like, for example, I think I seen a girl not too long ago. She had purple suede boots, slightly high heel. And I said, oh, like, I love your purple suede boots. Actually, purple is like my favorite color. I don't know why. It's a little weird, but I really feel like it's a passionate, emotional color. And I love when women wear it. So those are really cool boots. So I don't know if I quite remember what that girl said. She said, like, thank you. Oh, that's sweet. That's cool. What's a standard response? What are you supposed to say when someone says something like that? So next thing you want to do is you want to imply good things about yourself. When it's starting the convo is to start the convo. As you keep the convo going, you want to give the implication that you have some stuff going on, you're a good kind of guy, you're interesting, you have some values, some standards, et cetera, et cetera. So say something like, I love women with good style. I just had to tell you because so few women dress that well like you and make it look easy. And I just don't feel like you get the appreciation you deserve for it. So like with a girl with the boots, it's be like, yeah, I love that color. Those are really cool boots. No one dresses like that. I know how hard it is to look that good, but you make it look easy. And like on behalf of all men, I'd like to thank you because you just probably don't get the appreciation you deserve. Well, a lot of women will get really flattered. They'll flush. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. And it's just true. It's just true. But in saying those truths, I've implied a few good things about myself. One is that I have good taste in women. So it means that she caught my eye and that makes her special. Second is that I understand how much hard work goes into making oneself look good. So it means that I must also have experience with this. And that I probably also know other things about her as a woman that I'll understand, that she'll appreciate that I understand as well. And the third thing is that I have the confidence to tell her and other people about what I really think and the desire to make them feel good. So by telling her that, I'm saying, I just had to tell you because I think this thing and I think you'll like it. And I want you to know I think it's important. I'm the kind of person who communicates what I think is important. And those are all very good implications about myself, despite the fact I've only talked to her for 30 seconds and she's hardly said anything, but she already knows I like to make her feel good, I communicate, I have good taste, I understand hard work and women's appearance and issues. So it's moving the conversation in a really good direction already. Oh, yeah. And last thing, it's really important to show women that you value them based upon their personality and not just their appearance. Like so many guys would be like, oh, you're so beautiful, you look so hot, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you. Like, yes, guys, tell me that. I didn't do anything to earn that really. Whereas the compliment on the boots is about her personal choice, her personal style, something that she earned herself. She wasn't born wearing cool and choosing cool purple boots. You say like, oh, you're so beautiful. And it's like, yeah, I know, thanks. I got it from my mama, you know, it was no work at all. But the boots were specific to her as a person and her personal taste. After all, women want to be loved for who they are as people. They want to be desired for how they are physically, but they want to be appreciated for who they are personally. And so it's important to let her know that. So after I tell like, oh, you know, you got cool boots, I really appreciate that. As a man, I understand how difficult that is, and you make it look easy. Probably don't get the appreciation you deserve for it. And maybe she'll laugh or say something like, you know, I just had to find out to see if you're as cool as you are stylish, then I think we'll really get along. She goes, oh, this is a man who's going to base his opinion of me based upon my personality. He appreciates my physicality and the work I put into myself as a woman, but he's going to base his ultimate opinion and how we get along on my personality, which is a real genuine connection. So one, it's real genuine connection, and two, it shows that you're not a desperate man who's just looking for sex, only cares about how hot she is. It shows that you're the kind of person who cares about the type of people he keeps around him, and that she might have to work to earn you a little bit with her personality. She goes, oh, I can't just get by earning this man with how I look. You mean I actually have to like show him I'm cool and fun and have a personality and be playful and interesting and exciting in some regard? Oh, I might have to step it up a bit. So few guys challenge me like that and make me show that I'm a person that I want to be appreciated for. That gives her something to work towards to build with you. So now you're kind of the person in the driver's seat where she's trying to show you that her personality is cool. And this is how a real genuine connection is made. So it's not just pseudo bullshit manipulation, how to get her to chase you and neg her and bring her down and take her down to a lower level than you. The point is that really, as quality men looking for quality women, we're judging them based upon their personality largely, because that's what makes a woman quality, according to all these guys. And so it's genuinely building a connection with a woman we may truly be interested in and taking the opportunity to find out if we really would be. And that's building a true connection and building a true relationship. That relationship can turn into whatever you want it to be. It may turn into something casual and fun, may turn into something nice, may turn into nothing. But the point is that you have the opportunity to create a relationship from here that is genuine and is real based on whatever you want. And that's what's most important. And what women and ultimately guys truly want from what I've talked to both of them about.
I like it.
Thank you.
So what advice do you have about being confident around women?
Yeah, confidence is something a lot of guys struggle with, especially with quality women. They just don't feel they're up to that level. They can get a woman that good. She's too hot. She's too fashionable. She's bitchy because of that, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times that isn't really true. A lot of them are very sweet people. They're just picky about who they spend their time with. So the first thing to feel more confident is to handle your fashion and fitness, because that's the number one thing people notice about others immediately. It's been scientifically proven that one, people feel better when they look better, they dress better, they're more fit, but also other people judge all sorts of things about them immediately. So within like 0.7 seconds of seeing someone without even talking to them, they judge like their trustworthiness, their intellect, their social status, their sexual desirability, just their sort of like culture and capableness in life. It's like if people are going to judge these sorts of things initially, regardless, subconsciously, we might as well give a good impression initially and give ourselves an opportunity to create relationships with them because they think good things about us initially, as opposed to shutting the door almost immediately because they have no interest just from looking at us. That's the first thing, handle the fashion and fitness. Second thing is to start meditating. Now, this is talked about somewhat often and whatnot, but in my opinion, meditation is the most underrated tool in all of life. I find it allows us to do is to zoom out from our thoughts and see what we're really thinking. So then we can replace or change these with more useful thoughts that will serve us in the future going forward. So since our beliefs create our feelings, which create our thoughts, which create our actions and our results, meditating allows us to zoom out and see our thoughts and our beliefs and our feelings and be like, oh, I'd kind of like to replace that one right there with something else. Otherwise, it's kind of like we're just like a fish in a river going down our consciousness and our feelings, and we're inside of it, and we're not particularly aware of it, so we're just moving with it. And it could be like heading towards a toxic oil spill, and we wouldn't know. What meditating allows us to do is kind of like jump out of the water, see the water, the stream of the thoughts, see the toxic oil spill up ahead and be like, no, I don't want to be covered in oil and die. And kind of like swim upstream a little bit and go down a creek or a side stream or find a different way to go so we don't end up in that place. We can find better paths, better places to end up. So in my opinion, meditating is necessary. And a day I meditate is entirely different from a day I don't. I get much better results. I'm much more empathetic. I'm much more connected with people. Actually, days I don't meditate, I have a real hard time just getting things done, getting basic things done, just being on point. It makes me much more on point. And even in his book, Tools of Titans, Tim Ferriss talks about how like 80% of his high achieving and famous interviewees have some sort of daily mindfulness and meditation practice. Well, there's a reason for that. If 80% of people who kick ass do something, it's probably a good habit for people to take up. And it's super easy to do, like 5-10 minutes a day. There's no reason people can't do it. Any excuse they make is simply that, an excuse. If you can't find 5 minutes in the morning, wake up 5 minutes earlier, eat a smaller breakfast, cut your shower short, whatever you need to do. Because the benefits of meditating are much, much higher than whatever 5 minutes of doing whatever will get someone. Other than that, because what we think about ourselves is so important, influences our thoughts, beliefs, actions. The last thing I recommend guys do for confidence is write out daily affirmations and read them. So as opposed to like looking at something, oh, that's difficult, I don't know if I can do it, have a daily sort of affirmation routine written down with 15 to 20 affirmations. Where you're like, I can accomplish anything I take action on today. Or I can take action and get closer towards my goal every day. And when we tell our brains this, our brains believe what we constantly tell it. So your brain starts to believe like, yes, I can take action towards that. I can get that done. As opposed to, oh, that's difficult, I can't. And that little tweak consistently being reinforced creates a pattern where this person now feels they can take action, and then they do take action, and then that reinforces the belief that they can take action. And it creates a self-perpetuating positive motion machine that's really controlled by their own self-talk and their own self-programming in their brain. So I recommend those three things: fashion, fitness, meditating, daily self-affirmations. Guys will feel much better about themselves and feel much more confident taking action towards anything in life, including meeting amazing women they might not have been able to create relationships with before.
All right. So what's your biggest piece of advice when it comes to getting a girlfriend?
Yeah, take your time, don't settle, make sure you choose wisely. So a lot of people are in relationships because they don't want to face the rejection, the growth, the hard work it can take to meet a better partner. So they go, oh, I find someone, I'm going to stick with them. This can be my relationship for now. And then it turns out, years later, maybe children later, that wasn't the best person. Maybe you grew apart, something like this. If you take your time and find someone who has the same values, who's amazing and moving in the same direction as you, then when you decide to settle down, you've made a well-educated choice based upon smart options and abundance, as opposed to scarcity. Oh, I'm worried I'll never get another girlfriend again. Like, For example, if you had chosen your girlfriend or wife based upon the women that you had opportunities with when you were 20 years old, it probably would not have turned out to be a very good relationship for you, and I doubt you would have been very happy. Is that true?
I think so.
Yeah, so just taking the time to learn to create relationships and creating these relationships that give us options and choosing from these options from abundance for the best relationship that's best for us is obviously the best way to choose a relationship. It just takes some time, it takes some work, it takes some growth and some learning and probably some failure along the way, but it's worth it. Just like anything in life is going to take that to be successful at it. It's worth it. And our relationships in life and overall happiness, including with ourselves, will probably be much higher as well, not just in a relationship. Plus, we'll probably be a much better partner for it as well.
I agree. All right, so as the face behind Date Quality Women, what's your approach to coaching men with dating? Do you have any success stories you'd be able to share with us around coaching men?
Yeah, I'm new to the coaching game, so I don't have that many specific success stories yet. But what I do have, and I asked some of my friends who like have helped in ways other than just helping them manage friends to meet the girls and get the girls they wanted. I asked them, and the one thing they told me was that, well, it wasn't so much like what you told us, but what you told us and then we didn't do, and then how it turned out, and being like, yeah, I probably should have listened. So like I had one friend, I had a bunch of friends who say like, oh, this girl is at this place and she wants me to go. Should I go there? And I say, did you make plans to meet her there before? They say, no. Say, are you going to meet her at a new place, a separate place apart from where she's at? They said, no. I say, don't go, because it's not going to turn out well. If you go to where she's at, it's not going to turn out well. And so they went and they told me things like, I got there and she totally ignored me. I got there and she wasn't there anymore. I got there and she was with another guy. She was kissing another guy when I got there. And I'm like, dude, I told you, like, if you're so desperate that you're willing to leave whatever plans you have to go where she is, to try to get on her plans, she's not going to think that you're very cool and high value. She probably will think you're cool to say, no, I got awesome plans here. You can come here. Then you're adding value to her life and she wants to come. If you're like, I don't have any awesome plans, let me come to you. I'm like, I'm going to find a guy who has more shit going on. So just like a small piece of coaching, never ever go to where a woman is at unless you've both agreed to meet there beforehand, or it's a new third place. You both left the place you're at in order to meet at.
Cool. Now, you have an extensive backstory. You've lived in Canada, Japan, and China. What have you learned from traveling all over the world?
Yeah, everyone wants two things, a good time and genuineness. So if you can provide people a good time by being fun, lighthearted, making jokes, just making sure that where you're at is better for you having been there rather than worse, and be genuine, because people want to appreciate real genuine things, experience that, know what people are really like. People are going to want to be around you. That includes women. If you add those things with being able to connect, communicate interestingly, tell interesting stories, inspire positive emotions in people, even not positive emotions, just inspire emotions in general, you're going to be memorable and someone that people want around.
All right. And as a nerd, what's your favorite video game?
Man, that's an impossible question. That's like asking to pick your favorite kid. Like, no one has one favorite video game. You can't have one. If you're a true gamer, you can never have one. I think. What do you think, Steve?
What's my favorite video game?
Yeah.
Let's see. I love Kirby, the Kirby series.
Okay.
And it's kind of silly because my guy friends give me crap about it because it's a pink puffball that runs around. It's super cute. They think it's too cute for a game like me to play. But in my opinion, the shooters are a dime a dozen. There's a lot of shooting games out there. There's like Call of Duty, Battlefield, I don't know, Halo, Far Cry, whatever. Every game has guns in it. Well, not every game, but a lot of games have guns in it. There's only one series of games where you play as a pink puffball who flies around and impales enemies and turns into them. So I love the Kirby games.
That's
What
true.
about you?
Well, I remember playing Kirby on Super Nintendo. It was a sick game. It was a good game. I can't say it was my favorite, but I remember it being good and enjoyable. So when I was a kid, I was big into Japanese RPGs. It's like the American versions of Final Fantasy 2, 3, and Chrono Trigger. In fact, I had a birthday party where all my friends came over and I just sat there playing Chrono Trigger because I'd rented it. I didn't hang out with anyone. I just played the game. I was very, very social at that young age, you can tell. And then when I got older, my favorites were Fallout 2 and Age of Empires 2. I spent countless hours playing that online in clans and ratings and all that kind of stuff. And even now, I'll still kick people's ass at it. But I have to download it and play, so I hope no one challenges me. I don't want to have to download it just to school some noobs again.
Well, all right. This has been fun. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this all up?
Yeah, like a lot of guys have issues with chatting to women and creating interactions that are inspiring them. And I understand that. I get that. I'm working on content for them at the moment. One thing that will stop guys, even if they think they have cool tactics to create interesting conversations or something, is not feeling confident and worthy enough for an awesome woman anyways. So one thing is being able to create the interaction. Another thing is genuinely feeling like we're worthy of a quality, awesome woman, having the self-beliefs, the confidence, the subconscious belief that we really are valuable enough to be with her, that she would want something with us other than us just stepping or trying to get her, kind of annoy her, really feeling like we're the kind of person who would match her. So because of that, I worked with a professional psychologist, hypnotherapist, to create a self-confidence inducing audio that guys can listen to, kind of like a podcast, just passively, that helps program their subconscious mind and beliefs to feel that they are confident, they are worthy, they can create relationships, so that when they go to do it, they don't feel like they're doing it inauthentically, but they genuinely feel from the inside out that they have the worthiness and the ability and the value to create a relationship with this woman. And then the communication skills go on top of that. So the communication skills can create the worthiness, but the worthiness can also help reinforce the communication skills. So I feel that's a very strong base for guys, and they need to have that. A lot of guys have told me that they lack that when they see women that they're truly interested in. The really, really interesting women to them, not just the average ones. So I created this audio, and it's useful to guys. The more they use it, the more effective it will be for them. The more they reinforce it, the more it will create the positive beliefs in their mind and in their head, so that they can go create these relationships with women and feel confident and strong and powerful doing it. So that can be gotten at my website, datequalitywomen.com/free audio. And I'm going to put a link to it below this so guys can go there and get it. It's free, professionally made. So, you can thank me for that. You don't have to pay for that. I did, but you don't have to. So enjoy that. And yeah, other than that, I just hope guys get a lot of value from that, and that they start taking action to create the relationships they want in their life, and that they learn how to, whether it's through me or through someone else, just that they take the action and create what they want and have the awesome lives they want. We only live once, so we got to make the go of this, and there's no point in settling. We deserve what we settle for. So let's make sure that we settle for something really awesome. That's my overall philosophy.
All right. Sounds good, Brian. Well, it's been fun. I've had a lot of fun talking to you today. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome, Steve. I appreciate you being here. You've been an awesome host. And make sure you check out Steve at quietlyromantic.com. If you're a shy, introverted type guy who wants to get over his shell, Steve will happily point you in the right direction and get you done, so you can meet some beautiful women as well and enjoy your life.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
No problem, Steve. Thanks a lot.